Hello and welcome to the Early Learning Coalition. My name is Fiorella Altair Christie and I'm the Vice President of Quality Initiatives. I'm here with you today to share some information regarding the American Rescue Plan Act grant and the new opportunity for the state of Florida child care providers. So the American Rescue Plan Act grant it's a child care stabilization grant program funded through the American Rescue Plan Act grant. This grant was funded based on a few priorities: to stabilize and support Florida's entire network of early learning providers, expand access to high quality providers for families, invest in quality, strengthen providers, and invest in early learning workforce. This grant opened up on Monday, March 7th, and will close on June 30th, 2022. So you're probably wondering, what is the eligibility criteria? So first and foremost, you have to have had a license or registered with the Department of Children and Families on or before March 11th, 2021. However, if you did not have a license or were registered with DCF by that date, you do have an opportunity to meet the second criteria, which is you have to meet the Child Care and Development Fund health and safety requirements, including completion of comprehensive background checks. So this could be for those providers, whether you're a center or a family childcare home that recently purchased a program after March 11th, 2021. Now, the lower part of the slide in front of you all have to be met. So these are and. The first two were just an or. So you have to be a provider that agrees to complete a current fiscal year childcare resource and referral. Our fiscal year runs from July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. So that's the first criteria. You cannot have a contract with a coalition within the last 5 years that was terminated for cause. And that means you have to be in good standing with the Early Learning Coalition. You cannot be a provider under investigation or have been convicted of childcare fraud. You cannot be on the Florida Child Care Food Program U.S. disqualified list. And last but not least, you have to be willing to submit a W-9. Now, don't worry if you're one of those providers that like to take notes. This information will be provided to you via the application. All this information was taken straight out of the frequently asked questions. So the next slide is about the amount. So if you're probably wondering, well, how does it work? It works per child, enrolled child, I should say. So the way the grant works is any child between infant up to age months, I should say, up to 23 months of age, we are going to give you $867 per child. Now that means all children, regardless of their any grant or scholarship that they have. So that could be that they're a private child, that they receive school readiness, or that they receive the Children's Trust. If they're Head Start, Early Head Start, or child care partnerships, I will tell you how to document that, because those children you will not get paid for. The second care level is 24 months to kindergarten entry. This means that the child is still attending pre-K, okay? They cannot be already attending kindergarten. That's $702 per child. And the last age group is school age, $540 per child. Now, this does not mean that every school age child in your program, especially if you offer kindergarten and higher grades, that they're eligible. In order for a school age child to be eligible, they have to meet this criteria. They have to be attending kindergarten or up to the age of 13, and they have to be enrolled. And I say and because it can't be any school age child. And they have to be enrolled in morning care or aftercare and or breaks and holidays. Okay, those are the only children that fall under school age that are eligible. So that's the way the grant works. And then on top of that, you will receive an additional $70.20 per school readiness child. Okay, and there'll be a separate category for you to document those children. Now, there's also an opportunity for a bonus. That we just discussed was your base subgrant amount. Now your bonus, there's 3 categories for bonus: quality services, non-traditional hours, and workforce investment. The first one, for quality services, you can be a provider that has gold seal and located in an infrastructure deficit, and you will get 10%. However, if you don't have gold seal and you're located in an infrastructure deficit, but you have a class score of 5 or higher, you're also eligible for that 10%. Now, if you have a contract with a coalition and you are not exempt and you were assessed, then you also have an opportunity to get a 5% or a 10% based on the score, on the composite score that you received. Now, don't worry if you're contracted with a coalition and you've never been assessed, or if you don't have a contract with a coalition, then the other opportunity for quality services bonus is gold seal. If you're gold seal, you get the 20%. Also, like I said earlier, you can still get more than one. You can still get the first one, which is gold seal and located in an infrastructure deficit, which is 10%. So if I have gold seal and I'm in an infrastructure deficit, I get 10. And on top of that, I also get additional 20 for the gold seal. So that's the way that the bonus works. The second bonus category is non-traditional hours. If you offer nights or weekends, okay, and this is documented through the Department of Children and Families, you get an additional 5% bonus. Okay, this is offering nights or weekends. This doesn't mean that you open, if you open till 6:30 or 7 p.m., that makes you eligible. You have to offer nights or weekend care. And the last opportunity for bonus is workforce investment. If you agree to utilize 25% of the total grant amount on your staff for things such as bonuses, wages, educational advancements, tuition reimbursement, healthcare, retirement, and so on and so forth, then you get an extra 10% on top of that. So that's kind of how the grant amount works. So you're probably wondering, well, how can I utilize these funds? Please remember, these are federal dollars, and it's important that you utilize these funds exactly as to the intention of the grant to avoid any paybacks when you are audited. So here in front of you are the 9 categories, and I will go into more detail on the categories a little further on, but payroll and benefits or other personnel cost, rent or mortgage, business operating cost and facility expenses, personal protective equipment, cleaning supplies and services, professional development related to health and safety practices, okay, specifically related to that, mental health support for children and employees, equipment and supplies in response to COVID, goods and services to maintain or resume childcare services, workforce investment, or co-payments or tuition waivers for families. Now, I want to emphasize that the rent and mortgage or any other business operating expenses specifically for family childcare homes, you cannot claim 100%. You can only utilize the percentage that you claim on your taxes, okay? All right, so through the news alerts that the ELC sent out since March 1st, we've been sending out a few news alerts. There was a frequently asked questions document that you could have downloaded. It's okay if you didn't receive the news alert, but I highly encourage you to contact the coalition, the communications department, and get registered to receive news alerts, because this is how we communicate with everyone in the community. Whether you have a contract with a coalition or not, this is the way we communicate on specific situations like this one, like this grant that is for any childcare provider meeting the eligibility criteria. So if you go to our website under providers, provider corner, you can also download this FAQ, which is frequently asked questions. This particular document is 11 pages, and it's extremely important that you read it to its entirety, because many questions that you probably currently have or will be answered through this document. I want to avoid you sending us emails asking us questions when you may already have them in front of you. We do have 1,900 providers in our community in Miami-Dade and Monroe, and to make sure that we answer your question in a timely manner, it's easier if you refer to the FAQ, and if you don't find it there, then you can email us here at qualityinitiatives@elcmdm.org. So I'm going to take a pause while you write that down. And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And now I'm going to go into the provider portal. The provider portal that I'm about to share with you is the portal where you enter your school readiness and VPK information. Now, the portal that I'm using currently is a test portal. So please do not copy the link to the site, because you're going to be going into the wrong site. Okay. This is a test site that I'm going in for purposes of this training. So bear with me. And now you should see my screen. So this is the provider portal, which we call it beta because it's a test site. Okay, so do not utilize this site. Now, as you can see, I'm going to be using Google Chrome because this is the best browser to use for this application. Okay, and if I don't speak English, but I speak other languages, then I'm able to go here and use the Google Translate to other languages. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and log in to the portal. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, let's go ahead and try that again. So as I stated earlier, this is a test site and I'm using fake data and fake provider information in order to provide this live demo training. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, I'm sharing my screen and you're able to see, I believe I'm sharing my screen. Bear with me 1 second. I do apologize. Okay, so now you should be seeing my screen. So right now when I logged in, I see this pop-up box, ARPA grant opportunity. So the ARPA is the acronym for American Rescue Plan Act grant. So I can proceed to the application or I can click on this hyperlink grant calculator. So just for purposes of this training and for better to be able to better assist you on the application, it's a lot easier if you click on the grant calculator first so that you know or potentially understand how it's going to work on the application. You need to know more or less how much money you're going to receive. So I'm going to click on that hyperlink. And as you can see, it took me to another browser page. It didn't close out my application. My application is still here. This is my dashboard. So on the grant calculator, I'm going to wait till that opens. And then here, you're going to fill this out so that it can help you estimate how much you're going to receive. Okay. So again, as I mentioned to you earlier, infants up to 24 months. So I have five, I'm going to put that I have 5 children in this care level. Okay. And then 2-year-olds, which is 24 months to kindergarten entry. Again, that means that the child is not attending kindergarten and they're still in pre-K. I'm going to put that I have 5 children here. School age children. Well, my preschool offers kindergarten through 5th grade. Okay. However, as I stated earlier, it's not every school age child that's eligible for this grant. It's only the children that are enrolled in morning care or aftercare and breaks and holidays. So I have 40 children that attend my kindergarten through 5th grade program. But out of the 40 children, only 10 of them are enrolled as of today of the because it's as of the date of your application. So since I'm applying today, I only have 10 that are enrolled in my morning care or aftercare program at my child care facility. So I'm going to put 10. So as you can see, the calculator starts working and it starts multiplying the amount per child times the number of children you put in that column. Okay. Now, I have to, of the 5 children, I have to go over to the right-hand column. Of the 5 children, how many do I have that receive early Head Start, or Head Start partnership programs? So of the 5 children, I have 3 kids that are Head Start, early Head Start, or child care partnerships. However, of those 3 kids, 2 of them are duly enrolled and also receive school readiness funding. Therefore, instead of putting 3 on this column, I'll be putting 1 and 2 here. Now, the reason why I did that to explain to you is, first of all, you can't claim a child twice in this grant calculator. And you want to claim any child that is duly enrolled and with school readiness, you want to claim them under school readiness, because if you remember what I told you is every school readiness child, you receive an additional $70.20. However, for Head Start children, early Head Start, or child care partnerships, you do not get payment for those children. Okay. So of these 5 children, I'm going to put 5 of them, all 5 of this care level are school readiness children. And then on the next care level, I'm going to put that of the 10, only 5 of them are school readiness children. Okay. So as you can see, my grant calculator right now says that I'm going to receive potentially for the base stabilization subgrant total, $13,220.40. Now I'm not quite finished. Now I need to see if I qualify for any additional bonuses. So if you remember earlier, I had said if you were located in an infrastructure deficit, which is a desert zone, how do I know if I'm located? I'm going to put in my program zip code 33180. And as you can see on the supplementary amount, it says $1,322.04. Okay. If you're not located in an infrastructure deficit, it won't give you any dollar amount, as you can see. Okay. So again, the zip code that you want to use is where the childcare facility is located or the family childcare home. The next question is, do I have a school readiness contract? Well, I put that I had school readiness children, so I should have a school readiness contract. And I have to answer this question. If I've never been assessed, then I could use exempt or none, okay? But if I have been assessed, I put the score. Now you're probably wondering, well, where do I find my score? You go to the Quality Performance System portal. It's a portal. The colors of the portal are like light purple and dark purple. It's not the EOC portal where you enter your school readiness and VPK information. The Quality Performance portal is where you update your monthly roster. And again, this is only for those that have a contract with a coalition. Now, if I don't have a contract with a coalition, you're going to see that this question doesn't appear, because it means that if you don't have a contract, even if you have an assessment with another entity, you were not assessed by us, therefore you don't have a current score, okay? So I'm gonna go back and put yes, because I do have an assessment and I did score 4 to 4.99. So as you can see, it's gonna give me a 5% additional, okay? The next question is, do I offer night and weekend care? No, unfortunately, I do not. And if you're filling this out on behalf of the owner or the director and you don't know, if you go to the Department of Children and Families, it's a public website and you're able to see if that program offers nights or weekends. Do you agree to utilize at least 25% of the total grant on staff? Well, nationally, our industry in early childhood has suffered a lot since the pandemic. So I'm going to say, for the purposes of this training, I'm going to say, yep, my program, my fictitious program is going to invest 25% or more on my staff because I'm having a hard time hiring staff, or I want to retain the staff that I currently have. So I'm going to put yes. And then is the program gold seal? Yes, of course. So as you can see, look at the grant calculator automatically working. And here is the rough estimate of what I'm going to receive, which is $19,169.58. Now, remember that all this information is being filled out based on the time of the application. If you're going to apply today, all these questions have to be answered based on today, meaning that if my gold seal expired today, then I would put no, because you're just going to have, we're just going to tell you once it goes to the ELC and you submit it, you're wasting your time, because we're going to tell you, no, unfortunately, we can't kick it back and wait for you to apply. Now that you've submitted it, we're going to tell you no, because it expired and you're not eligible for that 20%. Okay. So we can't open up the application and send it back to you just because things changed in your program. Now you have higher enrollment, or you now obtain gold seal. That cannot be done by policy of this grant. The instructions are that once the provider submits, that is it. However, you don't have to submit today or tomorrow. You can wait till the month of April or May to submit. You have all the way through the end of June 2022 to submit this application, the time that best suits you. Okay, so if you don't have gold seal and you want that 20%, wait for you to obtain the gold seal before you submit the application. So I'm done with the grant calculator and I already know more or less how much I'm going to get. So I'm going to go back to the application. Now I can click on proceed grant application, or I can say, nope, somebody just came into my school. I can't do this now. I'll do it later. When I log back in later, here in my dashboard under grant applications, you can click on the ARPA hyperlink. It'll take you to the application. Okay. Just bear with me because it is a test site, so it's a little bit slow. So here's the grant application is going to pop up, and this is where you're going to fill out all the information. Okay. So the very first thing that you have to do is read everything on this file. Okay. You want to make sure you're reading everything. This is a federal grant, and you want to be sure you abide by the rules, the terms and conditions of the grant. So I'm going to click on the very first hyperlink because I want to read it in detail to see what's going on and what is this grant about. So as you can see, this document that's opening up didn't close my application. My application's still here. It just opened up a new page, a new browser. Okay. Now this document is 6 pages, very important document. It tells you how you can spend and document the funds from this grant. So if you remember earlier, I had told you there was 9 categories. Here are the 9 categories of this grant and examples of how you can utilize this grant. So for example, if I click on goods and services, I want to know, what do they mean by goods and services? So I'm going to click on that hyperlink and it's going to take me to that page. So examples of goods and services is childcare management services, classroom materials like books, curriculum, outdoor play, business automation training, payroll and bookkeeping software, materials for safe sleep, fees and costs associated with obtaining licensing requirements, transportation, not to purchase a vehicle or a bus, but to pay the employee. So again, these are just some examples of goods and services, okay? Right below the examples of goods and services gives you ways to document the expense. So it tells you the receipts or paid invoices for purchases, okay? The next one on here says workforce initiative. So examples of what that means is a bonus for the staff member, a sign-on bonus for new employees, wage increases, employee healthcare premiums, increased retirement contributions, and so on and so forth. Those are all examples of how you will utilize this category. If I go further down, it gives me ways of how to document that expenditure, because if I do get audited, I want to make sure that I show the appropriate documentation. Okay. So here you go. It tells you payroll and benefit records, hiring documents like direct deposit forms, employee time cards and bank statements. These are all examples of how to document the work in the workforce initiative. Okay, so now that I know the categories that are allowable, I already know how I'm going to utilize my funds based on these 9 categories. I already know, so I'm going to go back to my application and proceed. Okay, so I read the rest of the instructions here. To contact your coalition, click here. There's no need to click there because I've already provided you the email address to the team members that will be working and facilitating this initiative. And then it tells you that you can save at any point and come back at a later time. If you don't submit, the ELC will not receive it. And therefore, I will show you where you'll have the status to make sure it shows submit. And then you have till June 30th, 2022 to apply. So moving forward, section 1 is general information about the applicant, okay? So I told you I was using fake data. So this information here is a fictitious program that I'm utilizing this for, and I can't make edits because they're all grayed out fields, okay? If they're grayed out, we don't want you to change your license. We don't want you to change your provider ID or address. So we leave that there, but I do have to select what type of program I am. If I don't know what that means, if I click on these little blue tooltips, okay, the I, you will see it'll tell you license exempt center means that you're a license exempt center, including religious or school district sites, okay? If you're a family childcare home that's licensed, you would click here. If you're an exempt family home, you would click here, and a licensed center, you would click here. So as you can see, as soon as I clicked on that, the box went away. I'm going to go further down, and on the mailing address, if you don't want it to, your mailing address to be the same as your physical address, you can change that. However, just note that we're not going to be mailing anything out to you. This is a grant application. So you could change it if you'd like, or you can leave it as is. Okay, so I changed it just for purpose of the training to show you that I can change it. Now I can say, nope, this director and owner no longer works here. I'm going to edit all this information. And as you can see, it's turning red because I've removed it, but I still have to write someone in. So again, for purposes of this training, I'm going to utilize my name and say that I'm the new director of this program. And I'm going to put my new phone number and my email address. Now, whoever's filling out this application, whether it's the owner or the director, you would fill out the questions on your based on yourself. So you fill out your race, your ethnicity, and your gender. Okay, the tooltips are right here in case you have any questions. Every single tooltip will give you a little bit of that question. Now, the gold seal, as you can see, was automatically set. This is based on the information that comes into my profile. Now, if my profile is not currently updated and I obtained gold seal just yesterday, you could change it to saying, yes, you are gold seal. Okay. If you remember correctly, I said that I did have a composite score that was a 4 or 4.99. Now, if you're not contracted with a coalition, you would put none, okay? But if you're contracted with a coalition and you're exempt, you would select exempt, okay? However, I do have a score, so I'm going to select that score. Now, these hours of operation come in, so I'm going to leave it alone. I don't believe you have to set those hours. Section 2 is the operational status. So, meaning, what type of program do you operate? Well, I operate a childcare center. I offer school services. I have early Head Start and Head Start children, and I also offer VPK. So as you can see, I'm checking everything that applies to my program, okay? Now, if you offer something that's not on here, you can write it in right here box. Next section 2 is your program license registered with DCF on or before March 11th. If I put yes, the next question automatically is checked off, okay? Because that means I automatically meet that criteria. However, if I select no, I didn't have a license because maybe you just purchased the family childcare home or the center, then you have to meet this requirement. Now, you're probably wondering what requirement. So again, if you don't know what Child Care and Development Fund health and safety requirements are, you would click on that hyperlink right here. It takes you straight up. as you can see, my application now is still there. I'm just opening you all the checklists, handbooks, and forms, right? They handbooks again, all the forms. So you have to meet that requirement in order to be eligible. Okay. So I'm going to put yes, I know. Is your program open or closed? If closed, you should stop filling out the application because you're not eligible, and we would verify that with the Department of Children and Families. Now, if you're temporarily closed, it's okay. You can still meet the eligibility criteria, but you have to give us a reason why. So I could put closed. Okay, so as you can see, I provided an explanation. I'm temporarily closed due to COVID. However, I'm going to do a deep cleaning at the program and open on March 25th. That's all you need to let us know if you're temporarily closed. If you're open, just click on open. Now, the next question are also important because they're eligibility criteria. Do you have a child care resource and referral profile currently in the system? If you don't have one, again, just say clear. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and like, I'm going to put down here. So you see there's nothing green. Something to make it safer. I don't have child care referral. Now, if you have a question, you don't have a case, you don't one. Again, we're going to take a opportunity. Okay, so only a one-time opportunity to fill out this question. So yes, click on coalition, fill out the application and fill it out. So as you can see, it saved all my answers. Okay. So yes, have you been terminated in the last 5 years with coalition for cause? No. Have you been under investigation or been convicted of child care fraud? No. You have a contract that coalition most likely and it has to be from fiscal year. So I'm going to go figure out. You would know if you submitted W-9 or not, or you can look on your document library. And I'm going to put that I have one in the system, and it's from October 2021. Okay, here, pull up, I go to documents, and then view update, and that's where you would find your W-9. I'm going to do it now. I want you to be. Okay. All right, so section 2 now. Section 3. This information comes pre-populated from my profile. If for that reason it's wrong, I have to fill out each box. So if there's no children at care level, put 0. So this information is not correct. I'm going to go ahead and update it. Right. Again, this is the capacity. This is not children enrolled. So the capacity is 20, 20, and 10. Okay, so you see the way it works. That's my capacity. Capacity has nothing to do with this. Something the federal government just asked questions. So that's why this application is a lot more comprehensive than phases 1 through 6. So you have to make sure you answer all the questions. This is the most important question, which is the enrollment. It's based on the time of application, how many children you had at the time. So if you remember correctly, let me move this little bar. If you remember correctly, I filled out a grant calculator that told me the number of children that I paid, how many children I had enrolled at the time. Because I'm using fake data and I don't know this by memory, I'm going to go to the grant calculator and remember what I put 5, 5, 10. Go back to my application, put 5, 5, and 10. Okay, and then I'm going to go back and I said I had 1 head start here, 2, 5, and 5. 1, 2. Now, this is still in red. If I don't have any children, put a 0. Okay, and again, a friendly reminder. The definition to school age is children that are in kindergarten all the way to age 13 that are enrolled to attend a child care program for morning care or aftercare or holidays. Okay, it's not all your school age children. All right, so I've answered that, and now it's asking me if I offer nights and weekends. No, I do not. Okay, now this section 4 is the operating expenses. It's not how you plan on utilizing these funds. The government wants to know, what are your operating expenses? Okay, now I want to emphasize for family childcare homes, you cannot claim 100% of your home because we know that part of your home is your home, the other part is your business. So you can only claim the percent that you're claiming on your taxes. Okay, so I'm going to fill this out. My payroll expenses per month, my benefits, my personnel cost, rent or mortgage, facility expenses like utilities or insurance. I don't have any cost of personal protective equipment. I don't have any training expenses for health and safety practices, but I do have equipment and supplies in response to COVID. So again, these are monthly operating expenses. If you don't know your monthly average, and you only know your annual, you can just take your annual by category and divide it by 12. So as you can see, it says that I spend $38,000 on a monthly average based on these categories, okay? Now, if the category is not there, it just means it's not an allowable category and the feds don't want to know about that. They only want to know particularly about these categories. So the other 2 categories are goods and services and mental health support for children and staff. If you don't have them, you just don't touch them, leave them as is, because as soon as you put money here, okay, like let's say here, I'm going to put 500. it's going to turn the box in red because I cannot proceed without putting something here. So here, I'm going to put that I have a deep cleaning service monthly. Okay. And you give us what it is that you pay for $500 a month. Okay, so the total, it says it's $38,500. Again, this is not the amount that you're going to receive. This is just the amount that are your expenditures in your facility, family childcare home or childcare center. Section 5, this is important. This is how you're going to get funds. Now, if you remember, my grant calculator estimated that I was going to receive potentially $19,169.59. And I should emphasize that because I did say I was going to utilize 25% on my staff, that 25% is $4,792.40. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the application and select the categories. Well, if I'm going to use 25% of my total on my staff, I have to click on the first category. I can utilize it for rent or mortgage or use utilities. I'm going to say that I'm not going to select PPE because I'm good. I don't need anything there. And I don't need any purchases or updates to equipment, supplies, respond to COVID. I'm actually going to click that because I can say that I have a machine that I utilize for COVID and I want to continue to pay that service. If you remember, I had $500 that I do a deep cleaning, so I can put that there. The next one is goods and services or mental health support. So I want to invest in my staff and in my children because I know that the pandemic has affected them a lot. So I'm going to hire a consultant to help Okay, you tell us exactly what you're going to be doing with that money. Okay, again, this is just test purposes. The next question says to please indicate if you're going to use these funds to reimburse the business for expenditures prior to March 11th. So you need to know, make sure that if you have expenditures prior to March 11th, don't just click on yes. Make sure that the expenditures that you have are one of these categories that are approved by the feds, and that you have receipts and documentation to show proof. Okay, if you don't have that, you want to click no. Okay, but I'm going to click yes because I do have all that information. Now, section 6 is just showing you what I showed you on the grant calculator, what the base grant amount and how to calculate it. And then it shows you the categories of bonuses and how to calculate that. And then there's only one question. Do you agree to utilize 25% of the total grant on your staff? Remember that I put yes, so I'm going to put yes. I want to invest in my staff. That's the only way I'm going to remain open is by having quality teachers. Now, the last section is just you're certifying that you've read this. These are your terms and conditions. Again, these are federal dollars. Please read this to its entirety and make sure that you understand what you're signing. Okay. These are federal dollars, and to avoid any paybacks, you want to make sure you're following the procedures of this grant. So now you can see I have a submit button. So now I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, I'm done. All the information that I've provided is true and correct. So I'm going to proceed. I'm going to check off that little box and I'm going to hit submit. Now I got a red error. What is my error? The error is telling me that that name that I put, Fiorella A. Christie, is not an authorized signature. The authorized signature is just Fiorella Christie. It's not going to let you sign with a different name. Therefore, you have to go back and fix the error to make it match what it says in red and then submit. So as you can see, it's submitted. Now this box is going to continue to pop up, okay, which is okay. If I go here to grant calculator, to the grant application, I apologize. Now you see on the top right-hand side, it says status submitted. It also has here in a teal color highlighted that I submitted on March 18th at 12:12 by, and then the email address of the person that logged in. Okay. So as you can see, this is here. Now, the document library that I showed you, this is where you would go to for your W-9. Keep in mind, again, I'm going to emphasize this is a test site. This is not the actual site you're going to go into. There's my folder called W-9. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard. And as you can see, I continue to get the pop-up box about the application, but I don't need to go in the application. I'm officially done, so I can just log off. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And again, thank you for attending this training. now I believe you are ready to fill out your application with all the information that we provided you. Just a couple of tips before we end this training is, again, before filling out the application, you want to fill out the grant calculator first, okay? You can obtain the grant calculator through the portal or by using the FAQ. The FAQ is the frequently asked questions. It's an 11-page document that you'll find on the ELC website under Providers, Provider Corner. And then on section 3.2 is the grant calculator, okay? There's 11 pages. Please read it. It's going to answer a lot of your questions. The other thing is, remember that in the application, if you don't know what things mean, use the little circle, the blue circle with an eye. Those are tool tips that will help you fill out the application. If for whatever reason that you don't find your question on there, you can always email us at Quality Initiatives. And just a friendly reminder that if you're a religious exempt program, please refer to the news alert that was sent out on February 18th. Okay, this is also posted in our ELC website in case you're not registered to receive our news alerts, or if you cannot find the email. For religious exempt programs, it's super important that you read that document because how you expend those dollars is different than the other child care centers or family child care homes. The other reminder is, remember, these are federal dollars, and to avoid any paybacks, make sure you're documenting and you're spending the funds correctly on the categories authorized. You don't have to submit the application right away. You have till June 30th to submit the application. If you're a public school or a charter school, you are not eligible unless you have children that are VPK and school readiness, so duly funded, okay, VPK and school readiness, or if you're a charter school or district school that offers morning care and aftercare. Again, these dollars, this grant application was specifically intended for child care, okay? So if you don't offer child care, then you're not eligible, and that would be the charter schools or the public schools. And then the last reminder is school age. It's not all your school age children. If you are a childcare facility and you offer kindergarten through second grade, it's not all those children. It's only children that are in kindergarten up to the age of 13 that attend and are enrolled in morning care or aftercare. If we were to ask you for proof, you have to have some sort of documentation, whether that be a sign-in sheet or that be an enrollment form that shows us that those children are enrolled for morning care or aftercare or holidays or like spring break. Other than that, if you have any questions, like I said, feel free to reach out to us, and thank you for attending this training. Have a great day.